Hi, and welcome to my very first YouTube video. My name is Chelsea. I am a makeup artist, and I have been for now about 10 years. I specialize in bridal, event, and pageant makeup, and I'm located in Mississippi. So, this channel is going to be all about beauty, but more than just your standard makeup tutorial. I really want to share my journey as an entrepreneur, as a creative, and just kind of have this space as an outlet for me to share and be creative as well. So stay tuned for what's to come. I'm really excited to bring all of that to you. This tutorial, though, is something that I did a couple weeks back with my client Jazz. It is a very soft glam look, and we actually ran out of time. So, and you'll see that we didn't do any cream contouring or anything like that, but it still created a look that I feel is perfect for a night out. If you're a glam girl, this could definitely be an everyday look. So, without further ado, if you want to see how to recreate this beautiful soft glam look that I did on Jazz, then keep on watching. So first things first, I'm going in and I'm cleansing the skin really well, and then I'm going to go straight into brows. For brows, I'm using first the Patricka brow gel just to kind of get them in place, and then I'm going in with the Anastasia brow pencil very softly, light pressure, just kind of filling in any gaps that she has in the brow. Next, I'm going straight to the eyes. I'm using the Hourglass Veil Primer first. Then I'm going to go in with the Danessa Myricks Color Fix eyeshadow. Now, these are eyeshadows, not technically primers, but I love these because they're waterproof, so they're not going to move. Also love these because they come in skin tone shades. So, of course, this one is a little bit brighter, and I chose this because I'm going with a brighter lid for Jazz. But you can buy these in skin tone shades and wear these alone, and they're waterproof, so they're not going to budge. And as a final step for priming her lid, I'm going in with a little bit of Black Opal's foundation stick in her shade just to neutralize right underneath the brow bone while keeping it a little bit more subtle than her lid. Next, I'm following with a little bit of eye cream. I'm letting that sit while I work on the eyes, and then dipping straight away into the Juvia's Place palette. Now, I work with a few browns in this palette, but I went in with one of the lighter brown shades just to serve as like a transition. So this is going in the outer corner of her eye, but then I'm also going to blend it up into the crease. And to keep everything soft and seamless, you want to pick up just a small amount of product at a time. You can always add more. It's kind of harder to subtract. That's one thing I always like to say. So for this next step, I'm using a slightly deeper shade, and I'm hugging the lash line to create almost like a smoky liner effect. Next, I'm going in with the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette. This is probably one of my most used palettes right now. One of my favorites. It has some of the most blendable matte eyeshadows, and to me, that's not easy. So I love this palette. I use the second and the fourth shade, mix those two shades just to create a base for Jazz's lid. Then I'm also going to use that along the brow bone just to add a little bit of brightness there as well. As a final step, I'm dipping into the last row of the Mario palette, the first shade in the last row, just to warm up her crease a little bit more before doing eyeliner. For eyeliner, I'm using, I think I'm going to say this is my favorite eyeliner of all time. I really think that's the case. It's definitely my most used, probably my most purchased, but this is the Pat McGrath Black Coffee Pencil. I love it for so many reasons, but I think the main reason is that it's hard to find a good chocolate brown for deep skin. Dark skin, deep skin that shows up true brown. So that's why I'm obsessed with the pencil. It's also really creamy. So I use this on Jazz's top and bottom lash line, and then I'm going in with a little bit of that dark brown that I had in the Juvia's Place palette just to smoke the liner out a little bit more. And as you can see, the brush that I'm using this time is a lot smaller. So this is really going to help to maintain precision when you're doing darker shadows. And so after doing the brown, I did a little black close to the lash line, popped on the lashes, and then went straight into skincare. I'm using the Embryolisse moisturizer, and then I also went back with the Sunday Riley eye cream that I used earlier just put on a little bit more to make sure that area is really well moisturized before doing any of my complexion products. For complexion, I'm beginning with the NARS Soft Matte Concealer, and I'm using this to correct any areas that may be hyperpigmented before I go in with the foundation. And all this really means is that I'm using this concealer to correct or neutralize any areas that are darker than her natural skin tone. So if you do this, you'll use a lot less foundation in the long run. You're not trying to cover everything with the base, but you've already got your corrector down, and then you can use the foundation just to create a nice blend. And so what I love about this NARS concealer in particular is that it's matte. So it's not shiny, it dries down, and it really does well with not moving around too much. So you can use it with a brush, you can use it with your fingertips like you'll see me do, and it really looks seamless. You don't have to wear any other makeup with it. So it's been a staple in my kit for a while, and it's one that I really love. So you'll see a combination of me using the brush and my fingertips to really melt that product into the skin. And so this is where the soft glam becomes soft glam. You're using products, you're getting the coverage you need, but you're using a small amount of product and you're really taking the time to blend. So I'm using that same shade underneath the eyes as well, and then I'm going into foundation. And so as you'll see with the foundation, I'm using first a dense brush that's going to put on a little bit more. And so because of that, I'm using a lot less product on the brush. So this combination is going to help me to get the coverage, but still have it look like skin. And so I'm really taking the time to work the foundation in the skin, stippling it on, not swiping, so that I'm not moving around all the corrector that I just used. And so after taking the time to really stipple the foundation on, I did the same exact thing with the blush. I'm stippling the blush on to keep it in place before going in with a little bit of concealer to highlight. And so I'm using NARS again. This time I'm working with the soft matte concealer that we used before, as well as the natural radiant concealer to add a little bit of brightness. The natural radiance consistency is a little thinner than the matte, and so I kind of like this combination. It's really nice to work those two together. So I'm using this in any areas where I want to add a little bit of brightness to Jazz's face, and I'm using a small amount on my brush just to keep a very soft finish. And speaking of finishing, you'll notice that this look finishes with absolutely no cream contouring. And it wasn't intentional. I actually ran out of time, but you'll see that the look still works. So I think it's just a testament to the fact that, you know, if you're doing soft glam, you don't have to feel obligated to pull out all these contouring products. You can get the same effect if you're highlighting, because those areas that you don't highlight are naturally going to recede. Also, the brush. This plays a big part in helping you to really blend everything out. So the brush I'm using, it's very dense, it's very thick, so it's not going to push the product around as I stipple it on. It's going to keep it in place. And so that's what's going to give you really an element of glam where everything is not completely blended into the skin. And so at this point, I went in with the NARS Soft Matte Concealer in Caramel, the shade Brighter, just to kind of amp things up a little bit. And so adding yet another layer of concealer is just going to help to add a little bit of brightness underneath the eyes. So I blended this out really well before going in with my powder. And I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills powder as well as the Pat McGrath powder to completely set the skin before I do any bronzer or blush. So if you're still here and you're still watching, you have just completed my very first YouTube tutorial. This was done with so much love and so much excitement to share with you. So I really hope you enjoyed it. If there was even one thing that you could take away from the video, please share it in the comments below. And also don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.